Have you ever been in the wrong place at the wrong time? Most of us think it will never happen to us until one bad decision, one bad friend, one wrong turn, or one accusation changes everything. Today's guest knows exactly what that feels like, and he wasn't expecting to be arrested. He wasn't expecting his life to be turned upside down. But in an instant, everything he knew about freedom, justice, and second chances was put to the test. Because when your freedom is taken away, you quickly learn who you are and who everyone else is. So welcome back to the pasture, my fellow black sheep. I'm your host, Janine Stella, and today I am joined by Yosh Markel. His story is one of true resilience, perspective, and what happens when life changes truly in the blink of an eye. So if you've ever wondered how one moment can alter a course of a person's life, this conversation is one you don't want to miss. This episode is called The Black Sheep They Couldn't Break. Yosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I love the title. It's perfect.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I love being a black sheep. I always tell people we're a good breed of people, and there's black sheeps of all types. But I'm excited that you're here. I know this isn't an easy story to tell. It's your story, but I'm sure it still isn't easy to tell. It's emotional, and I thank you for trusting me with it. I'd love to start at the beginning, really. Like, you're located where currently? You're in Broward County?
I am. I've been in Florida for about 20 years. I was in Dade for about 10 years, but then I got married, luckily. And after stalking my wife for about 2 years until she finally gave in, and we moved to Hollywood Broward about 14 years ago, give or take.
I love that about you. My husband stalked me as well until I went out with him. So I appreciate the hustle.
By the way, I feel like shouldn't every guy stalk someone he really like? Not in a creepy way, but
yes.
In a way, I want you. I want to be with you. So why would I not? I didn't even give her a chance to date other people. I'd work till 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'm coming over. You're not going on a date.
I love that.
Like, you know what? I actually like this attention. Because you're a good guy. I'm like, okay, thank you.
I think my husband, he wounded me in the same exact way. He was like, I'm not giving you an option and you can't get rid of me. And I'm like, all right. So I guess I think it's endearing. I think it's great. When a man doesn't give up on a woman, I think it's such a wonderful term of endearment, so to speak. It's a good love language.
She didn't give up on me through everything I've been through. So and we just had our 18-year anniversary, so we're doing okay.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And we'll start with, I guess I want to know, before we get into all of this, because I'm sure we'll get into quite a bit, but who were you before all of this happened? Like, what did your life look like prior to the arrest?
I'm glad you asked. So it was I don't want to say the perfect white picket fence, great wife, but I was very content. I don't really need so much to be happy. And not in a bad way. I don't put myself first. I was very involved in people who needed help. I was very involved with my kids, my wife. We wouldn't go away much. I was very much a homebody. My parents, I'm very close to my parents. I have my one grandmother still around who I would see a lot. I was just very much a family person, friend person. I loved being around people. And I had a good job, and I've always been happy. I've always been very content. I always looked to grow, obviously, but everything was good. I had my basic car. We had our house. My wife's grandmother lived with us for about 5 years. So everything that I feel like is picture perfect to make you happy, I feel like I had it. I didn't have a lot of bad things happen. I lost family members, but I was very content. To me, it was like, if I have this type of life moving forward, I'm good.
And tell me what year it was when everything changed.
2023. Wasn't content anymore.
Wasn't content. So 2023 And take us back to that day. Like, when did you realize you found yourself like you were literally wrong place, wrong time with the wrong people?
So it actually took a few hours into the whole situation. I dropped off my son at school, which is about 5 minutes away, and my daughter happened to not be going to school. She was going to school late that day, so I had her and my dog, and we're about to enter my community because it's a gated community, and I see flashing lights behind me. I'm like, okay, I didn't do anything. I'm just going to move out of the way. No big deal. That's what you do. Next thing I know, I'm pulling over on the grass, and the car is still behind me, flashing lights. Officer comes to my window, knocks on the window. I'm still like a little confused, like, what's going on here? He tells me license and registration. I'm like, okay, I'm about to hand it to him. And he's like, get out of the car. I'm like, okay, I've never had to do this before, but okay. Give me your keys, your wallet, your phone, basically everything I had on me. He checked me to make sure I had nothing on me. And then I had to stand in front of his car, like literally in front of his car while my daughter and dog are in the car. And I don't know what they're saying to her. And then, for like 2 hours. Oh no, then they asked me to where my wife was. And I told them she was at the gym. So while I'm waiting and my friends are driving, ask me what's going on, which I have no idea. I don't know what's happening. I'm like, okay. And about 2 hours in, where there's a bunch of police cars, a paramedic, they tell me to get back in my car, and they would follow me to my home. I literally turn the corner to my house and I see a movie scene, tons of police cars, people with guns and an armored. I remember perfectly the armored truck because that's where I was like freaking out. And all I'm thinking, like, my daughter's not saying anything. I'm like, is that for me? Like, it doesn't make sense, but am I going in there? Like, and that freaked me out. So I pull over, my wife shows up, takes my daughter. The officer tells me just to wait outside in front of my car again. Um, and then I still have no idea what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Eventually, I asked him if I could pray because I have to pray by a certain time every morning. He tells me it's fine. I go inside. I start praying. And I just see my house full of officers, people at a table with a computer and bags to put stuff in. And I'm still like, why is this happening? It was so unreal. My wife shows up after taking my daughter to school, and we have to sit on a couch, just watch our house being taken over for about 2 hours. And then that was crazy. And then finally, one of the officers asked me to come into the kitchen. I walk in, there's like 5 officers standing at the counter, just like looking at me, one sitting next to me, and they have a big pad of paper. They start asking me questions, kind of like what you're doing today. Like nothing where I'm just like what's going on here? I know a lot of people said you should ask for a lawyer, but I've never been through this. I didn't think anything was wrong, even though there was a crazy scene at my house. Like I guess I was just drawing a blank because I was so freaked out or so confused. They asked me, where are you from? What do you do for a living? Who do you buy from?
So at that point, you didn't think, oh, I need to ask for an attorney because you didn't know why they were in there to begin with. Because, of course, they didn't say anything to you.
I didn't see anything wrong, even
Right.
the questions. And so eventually they seemed to get a little annoyed because, like, I didn't have anything bad to say. And so they finally say, do you know that the stuff you're selling was stolen? I'm like, what? I'm like, how's that possible? Like, did people rob trucks? Like, huge trucks? How would you get this much inventory? Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. And then they keep on asking me questions, like, but in a tough tone. Like, we're going to get them to say something. And I'm just like, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm really bad with dates. So when they're asking me, like, what year were you, like, what day do you work at this job? What day do you, I'm like, I think around this day. So
Because
like,
you were in shock.
Yeah.
It's trauma. You're already like in a state of shock. You have these people that are intimidating, asking you questions in your home in front of your family.
So I started to have a panic attack, like literally. And I said, can I go back to my wife? And they said yes right away. And then when I got on the couch, I just started freaking out because they said, we closed your bank account, we closed your Amazon business. And I'm just like, okay, this is getting real. Like, my life is being torn apart. Like, you feel like we lost everything, to the point where I was freaking out so much. And they said, should we take your guns? We both have a gun. And my wife's like, please, like, literally take them, because I don't know what he's going to do. Like that's how freaked out I was. Like I literally lost everything in a matter of seconds. Not just a couple items in my house, my business I worked so hard on, my bank account. So I'm just like I'm thinking I'm gonna be taken away, and all I could think about is am I gonna be able to take my son to hockey that night? Am I gonna be able to finish getting ready for the holidays because the holidays are coming up? And I'm only saying that because like I take pride in how close I am to my family, and that was the most important thing. Like before you take me, can I at least do these things? So luckily they didn't take me, and they just said get a lawyer. I go through my house, things are destroyed. My office is destroyed.
But they didn't arrest you at that point, Yosh?
No,
So they ransacked your home. Everything's upside down. They freeze your bank account. Everything that you know is suddenly gone, but you weren't arrested.
no.
What happened after that?
I went to my house phone because I didn't have my phone anymore, and I called one friend. I said I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer, and they recommended one lawyer. A bunch of my friends came over to watch the kids and to check on me. They're just like, "What the hell is going on here?" Because they knew this was crazy. Like they know I would never do anything to make an extra buck, And we went to a lawyer, and obviously I was very anxious. So I said to my wife, "Let's hire him." Like I don't know the first thing about hiring a lawyer. She's like, "Maybe we should wait," because she's the calm one because she's been through a lot. Like even I never met her dad because he passed away before I met her. She's been through a lot, and she had a tough childhood. So she's like, keep it together. Keep it together. One, you don't want to scare the kids, and you have to still be strong. We don't know what's going on still. We don't know totally what's going on. So we just went home, and we called lawyers. I asked my friends who are like doctors and people who deal with high profile people, and we started calling lawyers.
Let's take a step back. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going to take a step back for a second. For people that don't know your story or anything about what we're talking about, let's rewind. You were, and I read up on this story. In fact, it in USA Today, they called it the modern day mafia. I'm quoting USA Today. Okay.
No, they had a whole like a setup of like the attorney general and this whole platform, like it was like a press conference.
It says,
basically, we
yeah,
got him.
it says 14 charged in Florida retail theft ring that stole $20 million in goods. So basically what was happening is you had an online Amazon store. You were reselling goods that you had purchased at a discount, and it's capitalism at its best. It's what everyone does. It's what people do on eBay. It's what people do on Amazon. They have Amazon stores. They have eBay stores. You were buying items at a discount and then reselling them for profit on Amazon. And you had been doing that for a while successfully.
About 13 years.
Yeah.
I dealt with the biggest vendors in the country. I mean, because I wasn't greedy, and I was honest, and people just wanted to work with me. So this was the way I worked with this guy. It was the same way I worked with anyone. What do you have? Let me check if I could sell it. What's the price? Let's compare it to Amazon. You don't just come up with a random price. As someone who's selling to me, just like when I sell to somebody else, it's let's compare it to Amazon because you have to make something, and so it's not just a random price. It makes sense.
So what kind of goods were you, I mean, I know, but for the audience, what kind of goods were you selling?
So throughout the years, I sold basically anything and everything. I sold drones, I sold quinoa, I sold Pop-Tarts, Legos, Nintendos. From this supplier, I was buying, tools like DeWalt and over-the-counter, like medications like Advil or even like hair products, things you'd get from CVS or Walgreens or a Publix, whatever. I've sold everything because I don't have a boss. So anything that makes a penny, literally 10 cents, I would buy.
So how were you finding these vendors? So in your business, and I'm reading up in here, it says you were very successful. Before all this occurred, you were raking in a very good six-figure business doing this on your own before you got involved in this particular gentleman that we're going to talk about in a minute.
So some stuff I would buy from, like Best Buy Business, Walmart, what anyone could buy from. And then I started, I would literally go on Google and type in electronic sellers. Like I would spend all day and I would look for people. Obviously I'd check their business records. And if I didn't, if it was like a random wholesaler, which there are tons out there, I would ask people, have you worked with this person? It's only because it's not because I don't trust people. It's because I want to make sure, they ship the stuff on time. The product is good. Like what, just like anything you buy. If you go to a car dealership, you ask your friend who might have bought from there also, what's the history? You get a Carfax, whatever it is. You go to a doctor. Oh, was this doctor good? You usually ask your friend. So I would ask people, have you dealt with my friend and how did it go? Because some people, they don't take forever to ship stuff, or the stuff comes damaged, or whatever it is, or you get the wrong count too often. So yeah, you do your homework. You have to.
And then you meet this dude. Can we say his name?
If you want to, yeah. I mean, it's all good. It's not going to bring back any trauma. It's it's all good.
Okay, so this guy, last name was Kata.
So I had a friend who introduced me to him. Someone who was very well known in the community. Someone very yeah, he had a very good reputation. Someone who you'd trust to give you a vendor. Someone who is in the business, and he would caught Ace. I call him Ace. He was a dad of three, single dad. Took his kids to school. Took his kids to dentist appointments. He was basically, in my mind, someone who's been in the business for 20 years, like I've been told, and he's just a dad trying to make a living, just like me. To me, it was like, not that you have to be a family man to work with me, but I'm just like, okay, you're a family man. You have 3 kids. You're on your own. People you've done this before. This isn't your first time dealing with this. You've been in this business for a long time. Great.
And you started making money. And it says in this article, and correct me if USA Today is wrong, because you know how media is. You can't believe anything in what you read, but it sounds like he was a reputable distributor for you, and you started potentially buying more and more of his products, and then you started making more and more money, but you had no idea where these products were.
Well, because when you, just like you buy from anyone, you wouldn't go and say, where do you get this from? Because then they're going to think that you can go behind their back.
Exactly.
Never ask them. So any of my vendors, they would hang up the phone and never work with me again.
So this guy you started buying stuff from. Yeah.
Yeah. And I sold my other vendors because I still had people I had a relationship with. I don't just say, hey, by the way, I found someone else. You're not good enough. I still bought from my other vendors, and he became a new supplier. And that's just how the business works.
So you started working with him, and slowly but surely, more of a percentage of your goods you started purchasing from him because the prices were good. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if the prices are good, they're not too good to be true, because like I said, some things I made 10 cents, some things I took a loss, but you take a loss, but you make up for it on the next deal. So it was good enough for Amazon. It was consistent. We did I think 50% of the Amazon price with fees. You still sometimes are making nothing, but it was always consistent. 50% off of Amazon. And I'm like, okay, that's very fair.
So when did you go from making in the hundreds of thousands to the millions within that?
No, I never made $1 million. Ever.
Never, ever. So
never.
So
I
what?
wish.
So what all the news outlets made it seem, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've gone through this myself with my husband. They all make it seem like it's this big racketeering ring, and everyone is pulling together, and everyone's in conspiracy with each other, and everyone is, in on it. So then they take the collective amount of what everyone else is making and make it seem like it's this whole pool of money. Hence, they came up with that figure,
Correct.
$20 million?
When I was interviewed, they asked me how much I had in sales that time, and I had about 5 million sales, which that, by the way, anyone could have 5 million sales, because you could be taking losses to get more capital. You could be buying, I bought sewing machines that were $200 a piece. I bought a lot of them. So, and they sold well because I had good connections. So 5 million sales could mean I'm making $200,000. It could mean I'm making 50,000 because I'm making up from last year. It doesn't mean that you're making millions.
Right. It doesn't mean you're netting $5 million.
Yeah, I wish that would be. I mean, I don't know how you get those numbers, but it's almost impossible. But yeah,
so then
you have to sell a lot to make money in the Amazon business. It's how it goes.
It's how it goes. So you're doing this. You're not thinking anything of it. You're making money, and then once it hit you that they started roping you into this guy, they made you or made the world think that you were in cahoots, for lack of better words, with this guy. What happened after that?
Well, after they raided my house, well, before they raided my house, he was killed. This guy was shot up in his house. And I think that's what caused the red flag, as far as we need to get somebody. We need to find somebody to fit this story into, all the, I guess, investigation work we did and stuff. Somebody has to take not just the blame, but the big blame. And that guy was me. I was the head of the family tree. I was literally on a family tree type of picture, and it was me up there and everybody else.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's like you wake up one morning and you don't think that in the blink of an eye your life is just going to change. So I know from personal experience with family and loved ones that when people get arrested, you really find out who your friends and family are, who sticks by you, who believes you, who doesn't think you're full of shit, who
Yeah.
thinks like, hey, you know what? You got mixed up. It's not your fault. Tell me a little bit about that. Like,
Yeah, for
what was your
sure.
biggest shock when that happened with friends and family? What happened?
So I know this sounds crazy, but everyone was supportive. I mean, everyone I know. Look, there are people that were quiet because maybe they felt uncomfortable talking to me that I was friends with. I didn't really have the time to judge anyone. No one, bashed me, and like I'd walk into temple and they'd say, "Oh my God, he can't be here." Literally, people I didn't know, once they heard about it, they'd tap my shoulder and say, "Are you okay?" Like, I know it sounds crazy, but I have a reputation of being a very good person for my whole life, which it would help me survive this. Because I've always been a kind person. I've always put everyone first, and no one, at least I know to my face or to my friends, there is a few people that made some comments right when it happened that maybe they thought it was funny, but to me it wasn't funny. Where I was a little annoyed, and I kind of kept my distance from people, which I had to do anyway because I was on house arrest. But n- nothing made me feel uncomfortable. I was okay going to temple. I was okay, eventually taking my son to hockey, and everyone knew. Everyone knew because, like you said, it was on the news and all over the place. But that didn't affect me in any way. I had so much support. Thank God. I did have some family members that didn't talk to me, um, and they still don't. I think it's because they're worried about their reputation, knowing me. I don't even know if they know it's over. But for the most part, I got a lot of love. I really did. Thank God, because I wouldn't have survived without it.
So I'm trying to get a full picture. So they raided your house. Then you were put on house arrest. You got an attorney, obviously, but they seized your bank account and they seized everything. So what did you do for money? Did your wife have to go and get a job? Was she already working? Like, what
My wife was
happened?
working. I had to turn myself in first. That about 2 weeks later on a Monday, I had to turn myself in. So I was on a $1.35 million bond, and that's not easy to come up with at all. So we tried to get the bond lowered multiple times, and finally they lowered it to like 830. But the terms was house arrest, and no, you can't use the internet. Which even today, I'm just like, I don't even know why that was a term because, especially because I thought you're allowed to do research on your own case. I guess you have to go to the library to become a lawyer, but it was all friends. I had a friend who put their house up for collateral with my house, cover the bond. We had savings. We don't anymore, but we had savings. Thank God. They did take our bank account. My wife had from her grandmother left her some money when she passed away. Her grandmother lived with us, so we luckily had that, and she used that to get us out. And that was basically everything. That was supposed to be for my kids one day, or another emergency, not one that's forced upon me.
So you're on house arrest. Are you allowed to work? What did you do?
I couldn't work because they said they're worried that if I worked, I'd start another illegal business, even though my lawyer definitely clarified that I never did an illegal business that I know of. My wife had to get a job. And I don't mean that, she was spoiled, but she got a job. It didn't cover the bills, but it helped. And I just had a lot of help from friends and family. I had I'm used to giving because I love to give. And not that it's not, it is okay to ask for help, but I had to ask for a lot of help. I literally was going door to door, without leaving my house because I couldn't. And I just asked for help. I just constantly asked, and people help. People from years ago, people who didn't even know me, because they really thought this was messed up. Because I was okay sharing the story with them, and they heard from friends. They heard from people. Yosh doesn't do stuff like this. He doesn't care to make the extra buck the wrong way. So people helped me. It was a gift from God. I got a lot of support.
So
It's the only
how
way.
has this affected your family dynamic, the relationship with you, your wife, you and your kids?
So now I know what you're doing. You're getting the crying out.
Sorry, I'm good at it.
Knew it was gonna come. It's been look. It's even though it's over. It's been very hard on my dad because my dad was sick before this happened, so that was very hard for my family already. And he felt like he wasn't strong enough to help his son. Which for any parent, when you
Mm,
really can't do anything and you're sick, he's still recovering. He's still recovering. He's still on edge about anything. If I call him and I'm saying, Dad, I was a little nervous because I saw flashing lights. I try to be careful what I say, because my parents are still scarred from it. They're still worried about almost anything I do. Are you allowed to do that? Because I'm on probation. They still ask me, are you sure you got permission? Like, so they're always on edge. They're the most loving parents. My kids, my boys are doing good. My daughter just became a teenager when this happened, and she's my little princess. So it's been hard. It's been hard to rework that relationship, and she was the one in the car. So she's still recovering. She's still recovering, getting her dad back. And for me, it's like I never thought I'd have to work to get my kids back. Because I'm a very good dad. My wife is a rock. My wife is the only reason I survived. Yeah, thank God for my friends. I don't take away from that, but my wife has kept me so strong. She's dealt with my emotions, my thoughts that I never thought I'd have in my head, to leave the family, to possibly even hurt myself. I hate to say, but she's always been there. She's an amazing woman, because I think a lot of people would have been like, I love you, but I have to leave. And I would have been like, I understand. And I mean, I probably would have been even more sick if that happened. But luckily, it's for the most part, it's been okay. But the hardest part is with my daughter, because I love her so much. It's not her fault. There's nothing she did wrong, but it was hard for me to be a dad even when I was present. I was absent when I was present. So it's emotionally for me, who's someone who's always there for the family. It's hard to feel like you can't do everything to help them when they helped you.
that makes
Sucks.
sense. As far as your mental state, if you're not working and you're at home and you're not allowed on the internet, what are you
Oh my
doing?
god.
Like, what's a normal? What was like a normal day?
So I was eventually allowed to go to temple in the morning to pray. So I'd go there, and then I'd come home and I just kind of think, what am I going to do today? I started reading some books. I got to that point where I was calling every friend because I needed someone to talk to. I just called them and hope they're available. Where I know I was being so pathetic, so I'd hope someone would pick up the phone. Sometimes friends would visit me, but it literally was me staring at my dog and thinking, I know what you're saying. You're asking me, what are we doing today? And I have to tell my dog. I was literally talking to my dog. I'm like, we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere. And I was on medication. Um, I eventually was allowed to go to therapy. But every time I heard a siren or my dog would turn her head to see if something was there, I'd go to the door. There were times where I was looking outside my door, maybe like every 5 minutes. Like literally, if I heard noise, I heard a siren or any movement from my dog, I'd be like, they're coming to get me. It was terrible. It was like I was losing it. I was losing my mind. You think you're home, you get a break from the kids and the family. It's not enjoyable. It's
Hmm.
not even your own home. It's not enjoyable being locked up. So the therapy was good. I eventually did group therapy, um, but it was hard. It was hard. And then you have you're on house arrest. You got to deal with the deputies who I know they're doing their job, but it's very hard. It's very hard to have someone telling you what to do all the time. And you have something beeping all the time, even if like you didn't do anything wrong. You have to check on it. It's like if we sitting at the table having dinner, beep, 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 go check on it. You can't relax. You just literally cannot relax no matter what. I don't care who you are. It's so hard. It
So
was mentally
now,
draining.
what are you doing now other than getting your story out? Right, like you're actively getting on podcasts and are you allowed back on you're obviously we're on the internet
Yeah,
now.
so my life is basically back. I am restricted to Broward. With permission, I could go to certain other counties. Um, my friend got me a job. I can't sell anything anymore. Like literally, I can't even sell a book. Or so yeah. I don't know how you live that way. But I'm working at my friend's nursing home in his office, which is it's good. I'm very thankful. I obviously have to do more. It's not because I live in a luxurious life. You have to support a family. My wife's still working, but I'm busier. I'm more involved with the kids. I am focusing on sharing my story because that is very therapeutic, and also I hope to help people. So my life is much more normal than it was, but I still have restrictions. I still don't feel like I'm contributing the way I'd like to, but I've trained myself to realize that everything takes time. That it's how it goes. I can't trip out over something that I can't control. I have no choice. And over 2.5 years of having time to think, I've trained myself to be like, you know what? It's just how it is. You have to just relax, and it's going to work out.
What have you learned about yourself most during this time?
That I have the ability to get through anything. That even though it was tough at times, I'm a lot stronger than I thought. And I also realized that I was content, but that's not the way you live your life. And I learned that I have a lot more potential, and there's a lot more that I can accomplish. And I feel like that's good. It sucks what I went through, but if I needed that as a wake up call to realize that I'm not doing as much in my life as I should be doing, then I guess that's what I needed. So I realized that, yeah, you could do more, Yosh. You definitely can. You're not just a 9 to 5 dad, husband, and that's it. You could make such a difference. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how strong I was mentally, how strong I was at helping other people, how confident I really was, even though there's some days where I'm not confident. I feel like I could really do anything. And before I said I could, but now I really feel like because I have to start over again. So everything I do is a bonus. So when I accomplish something now, it's like, wow, like even being on your show, you listening to my voice and giving me a chance. Like I'm like, this is a bonus. This makes me feel so good because it's not easy. It's not easy to reach out to people and say, hey, do you want to listen to me? Especially when you don't have a voice for 3 years. I was quiet. No one wanted to hear what I had to say. No one. I couldn't speak up when someone was picking on me or bullying me because I was worthless in my mind. I wasn't confident. So I feel like I have a lot of potential and I could do almost anything. It just takes time, and that's fine.
I love that. And I feel like at this point, what's next for you? Like what's your dreams and aspirations at this point? What's next for you?
Most importantly, I want to support my family. I don't want to ask for help anymore, even if people are offering it. But I want to make a difference to people with my story. I want to write a book. I want to become a motivational speaker. I want to take what I went through and use it as a gift that I was given. I just want to keep on making a difference and look at people in the eye and let them know that you can get through it. And I want everyone to know that. It's so important. If it means I have to be on a million shows, if people take me, that's great. Whatever I have to do, it doesn't get old when you're helping people, especially when you've been through it. Like, it feels so good.
I love that. And people can, I'm looking at your, for people that are listening, you can find this. We're going to post some clips online, but was it LivingYosh
Yeah.
online, and where else can people find you?
I have a YouTube channel. They're all LivingYosh. I'm on
Living.
Instagram, Facebook. I don't like to do too much because I'm my own secretary. So I'm sure it's a lot of work. Um, but they can also reach out on my website. I have my WhatsApp. You can also reach out. I love when people reach out to me for advice and they tell me their story. And that because I feel like I could tell them, give them advice and feel confident about it because I've lived it. So you can really reach out to me anyway, email, and don't be shy. This is what I want to do. So my YouTube, my website, Instagram, Facebook, please follow me because I have a journey. And it's not only for like me feeling like, oh, all these people follow me. It's because everyone is now part of my journey, and it's awesome. Even being on with you, like, you're part of my journey now, and it's an amazing feeling. I have
It's
all
so
these people that
cool.
are there with me. It is. It's so cool.
It's like you're starting fresh all over again, really.
Yeah.
You're really starting like you're reborn again. You're starting a whole new
I
life.
literally
And
feel like all these people are a part of my life now, in such an amazing way. Like, you get a new follower, you get, a new message, like, wow, you're part of my journey, and you want to hear what I have to say. I mean, it's awesome. What else can you ask for?
that's such a great outlook. And I'm so happy that we connected and that
Me
you were
too.
able to tell your story. And I know there's so much more. Maybe you'll be on for a part two. But in closing, I mean, I just want to say thank you for trusting me with your story. And one thing I've learned from doing this podcast is that being a black sheep isn't about being perfect. It's about, doing things when life hits you over the head and you're faced with, what do I do next, right? And when life knocks you off course. And sometimes we're misunderstood, sometimes we're judged, sometimes we find ourselves in situations that we never imagined ourselves to be in, right? In the whole world. But our worst day doesn't have to become our entire identity. And
I love that.
we can restart again. And that's the fun part. So your story really reminds me that it's resilience, it's starting over, it's the hard parts that happen, you're just turning them into positive things, every single thing, and you're just keep moving forward. So everyone listening, remember that one moment can change your life, the course of your life, no doubt about it, but it doesn't have to define the rest of your life, right? And in today's conversation, if it resonated with you, my audience, please share this with someone who needs to hear it. Follow the show, leave us a 5-star review. And if you've ever felt like the black sheep, know this: you are more than the labels that people put on you. And until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and always stray from the herd. Before we wrap up, let me be clear about something. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not speaking for any medical or health organization. I'm just a black sheep with a mic, sharing my stories, my experiences, and what I've learned along the way. If you're struggling, whether it's mentally, physically, or emotionally, please reach out to someone who's trained to help. You deserve that kind of support. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time.